Testing 1, 2. Doing an audio check for the stream. We are doing an audio check for the stream. We're waiting for confirmation from downstairs. And when I'm going to keep talking, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Angrily, 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 Gus is gonna scream.
I don't want you anywhere far away. I don't really want you anywhere near me, then. You spread out. If that's all right.
Well, I thought I was gonna try to like. Yeah, that's worse.
Yeah, look at this stupid metal plate.
Blah.
Oh. Hello.
Ours are on too.
Nice. If I like, I want it far enough back where I can like lean back, but at the same time it's in my face. Like if I could get like a pole arm in my face.
Shut up.
Just hold it like this, Alex.
Hey.
Welcome to NPR.
It's creature talk pretty much.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Can you hear us okay? Awesome. Cool, nice bright and early morning for you guys, huh? Maybe we should have done it 2 hours earlier. You guys would be a little more awake. All right, so my name is Ryan, or Optic J. I'm the community manager of gaming over at YouTube. And we often do this at events, growing a gaming channel and pick some of our top creators to work with. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here with these guys, of course, the Creatures. And today I think what we're largely going to go through is how to actually grow a gaming channel and focus on 3 really key areas, from consistency, engagement, and of course content, because that is the most important thing. Content is king. If your content is not good, no one's going to watch your videos. Pretty basic. So collectively, these guys, you know, if you sum it all up, have right around 5 million subscribers, and of course the Creature channel itself has over 1 million subscribers. They've been at it for a couple of years, and we'll kind of go through their stories and attach it to a lot of the key topics that we'll be discussing today. So, welcome, guys. Good to have you.
Thank you.
You
Thank you
look
for having
wide
us.
awake. So, I was saying, you guys have been doing this for quite some time. How do you classify who you are as a professional, and how do you describe to people what it is that you do?
Whoa. I was once called a grandfather of YouTube by another content creator, and I didn't understand as to, like, have I been around that long? I guess so. I guess we've been around that long that we're like grandfathering people in now.
Yeah, you're pushing that old age.
Yeah, I think it was 2008 I got into it.
That's pretty much all of us.
2008,
Yeah.
I think
All
it-
2008.
I think that's everyone here, Jordan.
Yeah.
Just making sure. I know some people, I didn't know if some people were at 2007, but
Well, if you consider my high school projects, like,
I would
Right.
consider that's not.
oh no, that's
no, that's
My original channel, which I uploaded terrible videos set to copyrighted music, that was 2006, and I had been uploading on Google Video before they even bought YouTube.
Oh, wow.
In 2005, so I guess I'm truly the grandfather here.
I don't even think I knew we had Google Video. So, what kind of video projects were you guys working on at that time? Before YouTube, what was video like for you guys then versus what it is now?
machinimas.
yeah, I think
machinimas.
I think all of
Yeah.
us got our start making machinimas, which is pretty much cinematics with video games. So it was.
So I actually just did a video on the Hub channel where we watch back some of our older videos or our older
Shit,
machinimas.
that was pretty recent.
that was like 2 days ago.
yeah.
So it's ironic.
Yep.
And so when you guys were all kind of growing up and getting into this, is this something that you wanted to do for a career, or was it more of just like a passionate hobby at the time, get through a school project or so? What was your view on it at the point?
I think it's weird now that it's like such a, because there's obviously people that get into it now expecting and knowing what can come from it, but we did not know any of that back then. Like we had the struggle of like the physical checks. There was no like, you know, electronic payments. People didn't even know at the time that we got paid at all, so it was relatively unknown that like content creators could make a living off of it. So it's definitely a different dynamic now as opposed to what it was then. But I think it's better having gone through all of that I guess, to now.
It was very much a hobby turned career.
Yeah.
Inadvertently, but I mean, for me, it was more so I wanted to be a filmmaker, and since I didn't have friends or a camera, couldn't afford any of that stuff, the capture card was a lot cheaper, and a copy of Halo, just capture stuff and figure out whatever stories I wanted to tell through that, and then it just kind of spawned from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. What is the creative brainstorm process for you like? Like, you know, Dan, you mentioned that you had a cap card and Halo, and you're kind of just trying to figure out what's the narrative there. What has changed for you guys from back then to now? What does it look like? Because now you guys are really streamlined. You have an office. There's content. There's a hub channel. So let's talk about that.
I mean, back in the day, like when we had all started on the whole machinima thing, it was well known that, and the most easiest method was to do everything yourself. You would sit there and think up a concept, write it up, or if you just thought it up and just
Whether it
winged
was good
from
or
there.
bad.
Yeah, and then just went through capturing it, body acting, like holding 4 controllers at once, trying to walk 3 or 4 people in one way and then the other person the other way, and then putting it all together and then just uploading it. But now, of course, for a lot of our creative projects, we have all of us together, and then we have editors and a whole lot of people to help us with.
It's a lot more
things.
collaborative now.
Yeah,
Like,
many-
just before, it
when
was-
we can actually
Yeah.
collaborate
Yes.
correctly.
Many whiteboards filled with ideas.
You guys
Yep.
had whiteboards?
We
No,
have.
I had a.
We're talking about the office.
I had we're talking about now.
Oh,
Alex.
sorry.
Okay. What was
Oh, well, I was
back
saying
then?
I had a notebook that I'd use for school stuff, but I'd write all my ideas and script it out during like math class or.
I had a Harry Potter one that I used.
wow.
It had like
Jesus.
silhouettes of like
I think I'm
a
learning- I'm
basilisk
learning
and
something
the
about
sorting
you.
hat and stuff. It was pretty cool. I like Harry Potter.
No, I used to like to do a lot of stuff with my hand camera, and me and my cousin would go to the backyard and I like shoot some skits and stuff like that. But I noticed like with video games, it was a lot easier to do your own big projects and ideas like in your own time and just like Jordan said, in your own way. So I guess it just evolved from there, just from like a hobby of filming and making something to now like video production, now video editing, like what else can you do type of stuff. Now obviously since gameplays are so popular now, they weren't really back then I would say, but this is just I guess the way of YouTube I guess and the way it I don't want to use the word transpired, but
evolved.
I already used the word evolved. That was
Oh, okay,
pretty-
you're trying to come up with a different one.
transcended. There you go.
There you go.
into,
Now we're talking.
into what it is now.
Word of
Transcended.
the week right there.
Transcended.
Revolutionized, metamorphed. Cool. So, you mentioned before it was a lot of you guys basically doing the work all of yourself, and now that you have more help on board, do you feel that when you construct a video idea, there's a little bit more clarity into how you can make that a better piece of production versus having to worry about all the logistics and the operational side?
I mean, yeah, it definitely helps, but there's always pros and cons because you have so many people that are able to construct something, that's as many people as you need to also deconstruct it and throw more ideas into the mix and
Right.
find things that are problems and, then you got to solve them from there. So it can be kind of, two sides of same coin kind of thing, but yeah, it is helpful for the most part.
Yeah, it's definitely helped content grow, having more voices in a project, I would say, than just continuing. Like, it just helps us, I would think, grow as, content creators, just working with other people and broadening our skill set.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's look at like kind of an advanced project of that sort. This is a video from a few years ago by Jordan, who did the Advanced Creeper. I think you guys probably have seen this before, but let's take a look and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
Use that logo anymore?
No. Thanks for watching.
So, how long did it take you to do that video? How'd you come up with the concept? Let's talk about that.
So that was back in the day and age when I had a lot more time on my hands, obviously, from that. And I was really into messing around with the game engines, that one in particular, UDK, which is the Unreal Engine, which builds a lot of games you're familiar with, like Borderlands, Gears. but I was just screwing around a lot with that kind of stuff, and I figured, like, I mean, you can kind of tell it has a little bit of, I think it was, at the time, it was like an Epic Mealtime kind of, like, sense around it. I wanted to do something similar, so I just kind of figured, why not show off my, and I was younger at the time, so why not show off my skills in UDK by making up a bunch of words and throwing them all together in really fast ways, and then just blowing up a bunch of creepers. And
Awesome.
cutting it together with some music and making it a little bit fancy. And then I had a typo in the stupid text I had at the bottom, so it kind of ruined the whole thing. But
How many comments did you see down there about the typo?
probably it was a good bit. It was a good bit. Yeah.
Awesome. So for that video format, when we talk about content, we always want to make sure that when you're launching a video that it is repeatable type format. Would you say that was repeatable for you at the time? Like if you were able to do a series on that, could you do it weekly? Could you do it daily?
Yeah, I could definitely do that in a weekly format. If I killed myself, I could do it daily.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would probably be something more weekly. I did a few others that were very similar when I had free time. I had never really, at that point, had the sense to be like, hey, this is something that did really well. I should, apply that in a more consistent format.
Right.
And that's like one of those things in retrospect, like, if I would have done that, on a weekly basis, that would have been one of those things that people could probably latch on to, and I would just get generally better at doing. So.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, so let's dive a little bit deeper into consistency of content. We all know that content from a qualitative perspective needs to be top-notch, right? But it doesn't always mean that the quality videos you're able to create are something that you can do every day. How have you guys kind of worked around that to find repeatable video formats of stuff that you can do every day or twice a day? Let's dive into that a little bit. What do you think?
Editors.
Find a bunch of editors, the editor army.
I mean, it helps, I think, overall. But, I mean, for us initially, we obviously didn't have any of that at
Right.
our disposal, so we had to figure it out ourselves. It's just once you find a schedule that fits, which it could take a while to find something that's kind of suited for you, and time zones, like all of that stuff, like every little thing that you have to kind of take into account. Like even now where we're at in Denver, we have to take into account like, okay, well, plus 2 hours for East Coast. So if we post something like super late, then it's like even later for the East Coast. So we have to kind of like make sure every single day that it's in sync with everybody that I guess we would like to watch or like to have watch it. I don't know.
I think James was one of the first that started doing a lot of consistency. Like we'd all
Yeah.
started out doing like the sporadic, like cinematic stuff, and then James really got into, I think it was WWE stuff, like
Oh, yeah.
originally, and he had started posting really consistency, and that's what like starting to rapidly grow his channel.
Right.
From what I saw, I don't know if you were like
I had so
in
much
that
shit going on
in that
at that
mindset
time.
at that point. Yeah, so that I had seen that was like one thing that really started to bring James' channel to a consistent growth rate, proving that consistency at that point. I mean, it was just like the stock cut up game footage. It wasn't anything too crazy in depth, so it kind of created that let's play formula that we kind of went through and used for quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you guys feel like when you're going through like a Let's Play series or an actual game? And maybe Dan, that's a good question for you because you did a lot with Arkham Knight. When do you determine when enough is enough of the series? Is it when the game done, or are you looking at before you're launching this series, say I'm going to do 20 to 30 videos and have this series wrapped up, and that's going to be baseline? Are you thinking like that?
Yeah, I was thinking about how to present it, because for the most part my content recently has all been large chunks, just longer format videos. I've never really done too much edited stuff. I've always been more so the raw format, and more recently I've been doing like hour-long Binding of Isaac videos, hour-long Fallout episodes, and I kind of actually went back, almost reverted to old Let's Play style, where it's like I'm going to record as much as I can, split it up into 20-minute parts, upload 3 or 4 videos a day. And that just happened. I just happened to have a lot of time to do it. So it just seemed like the best way for that particular thing. If it's something like Isaac where it's individual runs, it makes more sense to break it up, have longer parts, and do it throughout the week. It just seemed like that makes more sense to do consistently with a larger Let's Play. That way people aren't waiting around for episodes.
Yeah, and in terms of that longer video format, what kind of response are you getting? Do you feel that your audience is engaged?
Yeah, it seems like there's a fair bit of engagement. I was really surprised. Usually for most Let's Plays, if you're doing something on part 40, you're not seeing what you saw on part 1. And that's still true with something like Isaac I've done, but it's been the most consistent view-wise. It's landing at around 10,000 views every single episode, which is kind of actually strange, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out what makes that so engageable, because I've never had anything that consistent before throughout the entire thing. So I've just found that there is a fair bit of steady engagement with that. Not necessarily growth, but it's definitely working out currently.
Cool. Yeah, and what do you guys think in terms of content when it comes to popular phenomenons on YouTube? So stuff like Agario, Happy Wheels, unboxings of the CSGO cases. How do you look at that, research that, and determine whether or not it's good for your channel? Are you guys getting requests? Are you saying it's part of a content strategy? Let's talk about that.
It's kind of somewhat a fluke, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, as far as landing on it and getting, that first hit is definitely, like Dan said, can be flukish at times. But
It's like
then
throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, sort of.
yeah, and in some cases, but it's really, all over the place in that sense because you can't predict any of that. But in the case that something is rapidly rising and you see that trend, then and you want to jump on it, then that's usually a good idea. As long as and I'd say a good rule of thumb that most of us would use does it fit our content style? You don't want to go out of your comfort zone as far as what the fans are going to, not like. Is because of what you've grown your channel on. If it doesn't matter how popular it is out there, if you release it to your audience and they, aren't into that kind of stuff, then it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
If you already have like an already established audience, and you do something popular as you mentioned, Agario or whatever else comes out next, Happy Wheels 2, it's a lot easier to get that out and then have your fans enjoy it. Whereas if you are sort of trying to do it to generate an audience, it's probably not going to happen. Mainly because the reason those things are so popular is because everyone is doing it, and especially all the big YouTubers are doing it. And so if you're a smaller channel, it's really no point because you're competing with these big dudes who are just really cashing in. Well, I don't want to say cashing in, but
There's a bandwagon mentality
There could be
about stuff
some.
like
You
that.
never know.
I mean, taking advantage of the fact that they have a huge audience, and since this game is so popular, a lot of people will see it, and so they end up doing that video.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Battle Block Theater. Me and Alex did Battle Block Theater, and we relatively didn't know anything about the game. I think I had played it in beta relatively early on. He didn't know anything about the game, so going into the whole series and everything like that series did amazing, and it was completely unexpected. It's not like the game had any kind of crazy hype behind it. It wasn't something Happy Wheels that had blown up or anything like that. So it's relatively unknown, I guess. You can't really pinpoint what could or couldn't be that next kind of big thing, I guess. I guess if it's something that's really suited towards you, fits what you're doing, then you never know. I guess that could be the big thing. It could just happen just like that. I feel like that's kind of what happened with Happy Wheels, at least with me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So how did you come across Happy Wheels? Because you were one of the first creators to really kind of push that out there. And
I think there was a good bit of streams going on for it, but it was pretty much fan requested. It was just it was constant in the comments, and I was just what the hell is Happy Wheels? And I just in browser game, which I didn't even know how to record at the time. I was what the hell am I doing? And really janky setup. Figured it out. Started recording it, and it just and I was just what the hell happened? I didn't get it. I couldn't grasp why they were doing so good. That was really, really, old school YouTube where like the front page or whatever, like I just kept seeing my videos on the front page and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Like I don't get it. But it was a game that's like really suited to my personality, I feel like. And that's probably why I guess me and Happy Wheels meshed so well. Because like, whereas somebody like is just playing and it's just like, oh, he blew up. Like I was flipping shit when something would happen in the game. So I don't know. I guess it just suited me more than maybe some others.
You didn't think it was going to be like really big when it hit your channel or anything?
No.
Sometimes
I was doing Minecraft and stuff. It's not like I just suddenly went to Happy Wheels and was like, oh man, this is it for me. I didn't know. I had no idea.
I had never really seen any of your videos a whole lot. I mean, because that's around when you came into the group, and I hadn't seen any of your videos really outside of a couple of your wrestling ones. And then I watched your Happy Wheels, and it's just like, you had so much fun with it, and it was fun to watch you have fun in it and react that way. Like, it was just something that was just purely entertaining to watch.
I think that could be said for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just the genuine, like, when people on your channel see you having just a lot of fun, you're going to get a lot more people that are going to enjoy that. Because
that's like that's been the main thing when it came to, like, game devs and publishers and stuff like that. Because you see a lot more YouTubers interacting with game devs, publishers, all that like kind of stuff now, and it wasn't really like that back then, but we were kind of around when it was starting to kind of happen, and a lot of the things that like at least I would hear when doing videos and stuff from game devs or publishers was always just like, we like your videos because it's just you like pretty much sticking around, having fun with your friends, and that kind of appeals to the audience, and it makes it so that way, they want to have fun as well, so, they usually pick up the game, they, try for themselves, they do videos on the game themselves, and it's like, it just helps, I guess, the industry as a whole, and I feel like more companies now are, like, taking notice to that overall.
And I think that we've sold more copies of Brink than there have been in the entire run, just because how we talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, engagement is a very unique thing when it comes to being organic, right? I'd say they go hand in hand. And I think that's largely the increases in watch time that we've seen on YouTube or across the border, because you guys are being yourselves, right? And it's a very organic approach, very different from television where you see, very cut segments coming out, right? High production value. And a lot of people misunderstand that there's still a lot of production value that's going into a YouTube video. I mean, you're not just uploading a video and then, going to your basement or whatever.
Well, especially
right?
now. I mean, it's not like we've gone from the amateur stuff to now, like, you try to be more professional, but at the same time, we're still just like normal dudes making. It's still relatively weird to me to like, there are YouTubers that work with actors now, and there are YouTubers like they're like it's high level stuff now, and it's like I would have never thought that a few years back, where it's like YouTubers working with actors side by side and doing all of these more, I guess, advanced things. Like even the UDK stuff, like is more like advanced, and it's stuff that like we pretty much learned on our own. But it's I guess skills that, I mean, we can't just like unlearn them, which is weird. Like it's like we all know how to do this now, and I don't know, it just comes natural now.
Yeah, that's super important to maintaining the audience, right? Is not losing that organic appeal of authenticity when you're creating your videos. So let's watch. This is your 149th video of
149
of Happy Wheels. We'll watch a quick clip of it.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Let's see if I can.
So James, you've been doing that for a long time. I mean, 149 episodes that's a lot of episodes.
I was gonna say I was relatively clean mouthed there. I was expecting way more.
It took me 3 hours to find that clip.
I dropped one F-bomb in that.
Went through 149 videos, man. I counted two F-bombs. So you were doing that for a while. Is there ever a point in that series where you're like, it's so hard to be enthusiastic at this point because you've almost seen it all happen so many times,
I mean, I talked about it briefly on Felix, PewDiePie's podcast, because he asked me kind of like the same thing, and it's more so like a game like that has like this massive community around it, and it's more so just based on that. Like if the community is making good levels and the community is making like good content within the game, then it'll be easy for me as like the content creator to get excited about it and be enthusiastic about it. But if I go into the game and it's like same old from 2011, then I'm going to be bored with it and I'm going to hate everything about it, which is why like I kind of went away from it for a bit. It's good to like dabble back into it just to see like how creative people get within the game, but a lot of people just do the same old with the maps and stuff like that. It's really repetitive.
Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about thumbnails for a little bit.
Ooh.
A lot of people don't understand that when they're trying to get into the YouTube game and consider it for a full-time career, the importance of the thumbnail. And I want to talk about this because there's controversial thumbnails that you see that we remember, and when gaming was starting to become big on YouTube, we saw a lot of that. But what a lot of people fail to remember is that is your like one-shot advertisement for someone to click on your video. And so previously, and sometimes we still see it today, there's abuse of those thumbnails, and they don't represent the content that's in the video. What's your guys' approach to thumbnails when it comes to thinking about whether or not someone's actually going to click on the video?
I mean, for the most part, we shoot for it to be visually appealing, obviously.
So you put boobs in it.
Yeah.
No, that's the abuse that you were talking about.
That's the abuse thing. Right?
No, I don't. We've never really done anything like that before. There's a couple times where I pitched to Jordan. I was like, please just let me put some sort of like picture in there. No, Daniel. So, but for the most part, I mean, we just generally try to represent the. I mean, sometimes there's videos that just have those iconic moments that you'll see over and over again, either if fans make montages or there's GIFs on Tumblr or something like that. So, like, I mean, sometimes we'll try to take that iconic image from that video that people will remember and make it the picture. Either, like, cut somebody out, add a colorful background, make it saturated, make it look good and appealing to click on, and make sure it properly conveys what the video's about.
And stands out.
And stands out, yeah, exactly.
Other videos that you'll see in your sub box or on the front page.
I did a bit of graphic design in high school, so when I started doing thumbnails, I took it like a really like creative, like analytical approach where I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this color mesh well with this color, but we really, as you were saying, like when it really comes down to it, it's not really about how, like, I mean, how good it looks in terms of like color continuity and all that. It's more so if it looks like someone wants to watch it, because, you know, like as you said, you know, boobs in the thumbnail, whatever, someone's face, someone's stupid face, like in a thumbnail, things like that is what people want to watch. And as you grow your brand, people become more aware of your style of thumbnails, and you'll see like the bigger gamer YouTubers might have like a certain style where they just might always have a pink background with like something in the front of it, or just like I do this thing where I have like a bottom left corner logo, and that's sort of recent that I started playing around with, but what I noticed is like the more I have it, the more people realize, oh, that's from, you know, Alex is uploading this video, whatever
like
it may be.
It's just like a
it's just like a label, like sort of you'd see anywhere really, like a watermark for like a news channel or something like that. Like, I don't know, that's sort of something that I've been, I guess, experimenting with, but it's always changing. I mean, people get more creative with their thumbnails, and I don't know, maybe one day we're gonna have like 3D thumbnails or something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Even the Let's Play format like doesn't, like, you know, it used to be like, here's a picture of the game or something like that, episode number in the corner, and that would be pretty much it. It'd be like episode 1 through like 40, but like now it's a little bit more, like you said, like to make it more appealing, like usually for even that Let's Play format, it's like going back, you know, getting different screen caps for every episode, like making it so that way it's still a part of the series, but at the same time it's also, you know, different, I guess. Like it still draws people in, as opposed to like, here's the same thumbnail for every single video kind of thing.
Oh, it could be kind of like intimidating though if you have like episode 300 of something and it's the same thumbnail. Like people would be like, you know, I don't know if I want to watch, or if I just want to start watching it, I'm not going to start watching episode 300.
Well, that's what I did with Happy Wheels. I put like, it was just different color backgrounds or something like that, but it was still relatively the same thumbnail. Like I didn't do a good job on those at all, but.
What about text when it comes to a thumbnail? You know, I'm starting to see individuals do just more of like a bright color picture, right? And all of your thumbnails should always be bright and very engaging. But when you decide whether or not it's appropriate to add text to give additional context, do you guys think about that in your process?
Text is kind of hard because, like, if you have a
Small.
yeah, it's small, but yeah, well, I mean that's the main thing is it's small and it's hard to make text stand out over like an image. Like it's a lot easier to put an image in versus like having hey, awesome stuff or whatever. Like
You gotta figure on YouTube, like it's gonna look like, you know, really tiny.
Really
Four
tiny.
sizes.
You also have the bottom right corner is taken up by the time code, so if you have a title that's going over that, people can't see it. So it's kind of like, where do you fit it in, if you are going to use text, where do you fit it in that's not covering something of the picture and that's not going to be in the bottom right that's going to get covered up by the time code.
Right.
But
Yep. Keep it bright, engaging, clear, and concise. Cool. So let's switch gears a little bit. I think one of the most important things when growing the channel is collaborations, right? And I think if you look at the creatures, you guys would be a tentpole organization when it comes to collaborations, a real benchmark in the industry. So how did you guys all kind of meet and start collaborating? Let's talk about that.
I think it comes down to the roots of it, which is just we've all known each other from like 2008. I think most of us have probably worked with each other at one point or another.
Yeah, it was
just
when we
randomly meeting for the most part.
I think we all met through. We were all part of that Machinima Directors Program,
Yeah.
the original, and through
Yeah.
that, you know, it's like other people do this. Well, no, we're not. So you kind of just get in contact with other people, and then eventually, like, oh, hey, you want to try working on something? I know I like doing everything by myself, but how would you like to lend your voice?
It usually starts off where we're all complaining about our problems, and then we can relate to one another. So it's like, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from, and then it goes
Let's
into
collaborate.
like, yeah,
And then it just turned into mass Skype calls and, you know, talking every day or every other day, just hanging out in Skype calls, getting to know each other, becoming friends.
That sounds like a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
hot.
encouraged.
We've been
right?
going steady for years.
I used to eat raw ramen noodles
Yeah.
in Skype calls, and that was horrible Skype etiquette. Now that I think
Yeah.
about it,
It was
Like dry? Did you eat them dry?
Yeah, dry,
Oh, wow.
dry.
Yeah,
They
he would just open up the packet and start eating
throw out
the
the flavor
noodles.
thing, and just
Oh, you wouldn't even sprinkle the flavor on there.
no.
Oh, really?
Oh,
You wouldn't even
man.
do that? No. Oh,
he was horrible
That's
with
good.
that. He had like a really bad microphone too, so it was like,
It's like
it's
crunch,
really
crunch.
bad.
It's funny how many inside jokes that we included in videos or even Creature Talk that were just out of random Skype calls that people would have no idea what we're talking about. We would just talk about it as if everybody knew. Doesn't make any sense.
So, and from a more, I guess, video creation standpoint, what were you guys looking at like a set criteria for collaborations and constructing these videos that you thought would be optimal for engagement?
At that point, it was so early on that like not
Wasn't
a
a
lot of
tactic
that
yet.
stuff was at in the front of our minds.
Oh,
It was more so just like, you know, let's play games with each other, or like
hop in
you
the
know,
Minecraft server.
make
and-
do some Minecraft stuff. It wasn't like I'm sure after a bit we kind of figured out like, oh hey, this is collectively growing all of us together. This is a good
Right.
idea to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So that's why we stuck with it, obviously. But at that time, it was so early in the game.
It's also good to just work with people that have the same mindset with like as you might have, where like, you know, you might have a video idea and you'd have someone else who's like, you know, you can creatively respect, have like their input on it. If it's like not something you're sure of or it's something that you want to try, you know, it's nice to have that other voice in your head or, you know, in a Skype
Yeah, we could
call
tell you
just
your
to-
idea is stupid.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a lot of like raw creativity back then. I don't think that we didn't have much of a direction until we really all came together and started the Creature Hub.
Yeah, and is that too, you know, you probably, when doing a collaboration, you can assume that you have a certain chemistry with individuals to make an engaging video, but a lot of that probably comes through the trial and error of the process, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we all like. I don't think, like I said, at this point in time, we'd never like thought of anything beyond like a couple months ahead. So we didn't like.
Right.
Well, I don't think any of us really noticed or realized kind of how each of us were so different from each other, but it worked together so well, and that just kind of fell into place at the same time. So it worked really well. But that's always something to keep in mind with collaborations in general.
Yeah. Yeah. What advice would you give to, the audience here for individuals who are looking to collaborate with others, right? We obviously know it's important if you're smaller channels or bigger channels to collaborate and share audience. What are some good tips and ideas to look for that?
I mean, kind of going off the organic thing, make sure it's organic, make sure it's a good fit, who you're working with, or, what you guys are working on.
Yeah, don't necessarily look at like the numbers and be like,
Yeah.
I want to just go to a bigger YouTuber just to like,
Yeah.
kind of do that. Like it's way better if you go to somebody who you can actually like mesh well with, and the results of that will be like
Collective growth.
even better. Like I gave the example of Battle Block earlier. That was the first series that I did with him, and like I didn't going in.
This
we
guy
didn't-
has a lot of subscribers.
It worked out though.
And that goes back to making the good content, like creating
Right.
the content that people are going to want to watch, and that is going to come from not the biggest numbers, but the best fit that you have with two people. And it's always a good idea not to spread yourself too thin across 20 different people you're working with,
Right.
keep it a small, because then you're just like, at that point, I mean, I guess that works with more so if you're going to bigger people, but that kind of splits your subscriber base. Your growth will be a lot different. Some people come for, just to see the different people you're playing with compared to.
You want to
coming
find
for
someone that's
you.
doing like similar stuff to you, and not
Right.
like if you're like a Minecraft dude, you don't want to go to like a Call of Duty person and be like, let's do something, because then it's like you have two audiences that are kind of like overlapping, and it might come off weird, but I guess if it meshes well, like if the personalities mesh well, then I guess it wouldn't matter too much. But you have to keep in mind, I guess, the audience that person has as well, if there is like an audience already
if there
existing.
is, yeah.
It probably just goes back to being organic in
Yep.
general.
It all
At the
comes
end of the
back
day.
to it.
Would you say the consistency in that collaboration is good as well? So let's say, James, for your example, you said finding someone that really meshes with your content. If you're doing just one video with that individual, and then a month goes by and you're not doing any more videos with that individual, would you say that that's a true fruitful collaboration? I think to your point, what you're arguing is that you should continue to do that and let the audience get used to this collaboration, and then they see it as more of like an organic approach, or they see it as more.
Yeah, because it takes time. It's not like, one video out is gonna give people a good idea, like it's only like anywhere from like 10 to 13, 15 minutes or so, of an example, I guess. Like, I'm sure when doing co-op stuff with like Alex, people probably thought like, maybe on my end, maybe they took all of his shit too serious or something like that. Like maybe if he made a joke, like it wouldn't land correctly or whatever. But, looking back now after having so many videos and stuff, like they start to understand, I guess, the back and forth, between the collaborators and how they mesh and all that. And, it does take time, I think, to like form a solid foundation for that. There might be, I don't know. I don't think like one video does justice though.
And at the same time, not relying too much on that collaboration.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
then you would, people come for that and that only. And then when you try and make your own stuff down the line, if that collaboration ever becomes, an issue, or, they go to school or get a different job or something like that, then, they're unable to be there. And if your audience is hooked on that, then, they're going to have a hard time readjusting to just content with you kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I think the ultimate thing to remember there is like find the collaborative partner that makes sense for you and your brand, very similar, but also don't bank on it completely, right?
Yeah,
If you're-
keep your individuality as well,
Right.
and
Yep,
and
very
make sure you
important.
still have your own stuff going.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. We're going to watch a video of you guys doing a real life collaboration. This is actually one of my favorite ones you guys have ever done. It's the soap bomb.
Perfect place to end it.
Can't go wrong with the ending, huh, Dan?
Yeah. I'm in that video for 3 seconds, and you just managed to pause right on that one part.
Yeah, it took some time. It took me 3 hours to edit it. So, Guys, that's just like that's just a fun video, right? You can watch that. You watch everyone; they're smiling on it. How do you come up with that? Whose idea was that?
That was something random that I just kind of blurted out like on the podcast one of the weekends that we were doing it. I was just like, I saw them at Lush do like the display and all that, and I was just like, I want to get a shit ton of them and just throw them all in a pool. However, what I wanted to do, I wanted to do it in the office, which Jordan didn't know about at the time. He wouldn't let me if I would have told him.
Something about having 200 gallons of water on a second floor of an office building
Not a good
isn't
idea.
a good idea.
Yeah, it worked out.
Well, it worked, but it could have been catastrophic.
It could have been.
It could have been
We're-
catastrophic.
If you would have seen the pool that me and Joe originally wanted to get, that would have been bad news because we ended up paying like, I don't even know how much that pool was. That was a pretty legit pool. Like it's like
It was a hot tub. It was a
Yeah,
portable hot tub. It
So-
was very sturdy, though. I was
Looks
pretty
good.
impressed.
lucky on that. But the Lush people were just going nuts. Like, what are you doing with all these? What is your plan with all these? I told them kind of a half truth, I guess. I said like I was having a cookout with a pool and I was going to throw them all in there. I didn't tell them I was going to my office and I was just going to throw them all in a pool in the office. But I mean, just a slight fib there. But they were super like excited about it after, because obviously after the video went up and like people knew of that Lush place, like there were people going in there and they were asking questions about it and stuff like that. I haven't been there since because I don't know if they'll grill me about like the whole thing, but I don't know.
So you were walking out of that place with just a ton of
Yes.
these soap
They had, like
bombs.
bags and bags of
Yeah.
them.
We came into the office that day because it was literally just between me and Joe and nobody else knew what the hell was going on. But we came in with all this stuff. We started setting it all up. We had Spencer help, and Jordan walks in while we're in the middle of blowing up the pool. I think we had an incident that day where our landlord was actually supposed to be coming in, so we had to quick deflate it and then move it into the kitchen temporarily, just in case, to hide it. Then we pulled it back out, reinflated it, filled it up with water, did that. Then to clean it up, we had to, bucket, each of us taking a bucket and dunking it in there, pouring it out.
Wow.
It was all worth. I feel like.
Yeah.
Did you just drag a hose upstairs or something? Like, how did you get the water in there to begin with? Did you have to...
The sink in our
we
office.
taped it with packing tape around the faucet in the kitchen.
Very janky setup.
So you're just like taping it around, and it was just like water was just like going all over the place around the hose. But we got the water into the hose. I mean, into the pool eventually.
Yeah.
So.
And I didn't really, I think it was the fact that we did it in the office that made it so like kind of deranged, because it's just in the middle of a weird, office setting or whatever. Because that was like the main question. I felt like after that video went up, like we were getting, we had gotten contacted by like BuzzFeed and all these different sites about it and stuff, like wanting to just know the procedure behind it, I guess. And like the number one thing was like,
You guys are weird. How did you do this?
why are you doing this in your office? It's like, well, that was part of the appeal to it. Like we do everything in the office. Like we are still at the end of the day, we're still like just amateur dudes doing it. Like it's not like we could have easily put that on a bigger scale. And wait, who did I say? Oh, I said amateur dudes.
Yeah, the way
doing
you
it.
said that was a little.
Yeah, I know. I guess that's. Don't be dirty-minded, Jesus.
I just heard a couple people over there laughing.
I know. I heard the Snickers too. That's why I'm
I
saying.
didn't hear the Snickers.
There's Snickers here? Anyway.
Great. Yeah.
So how long did it take to fill up that thing, to prepare for this? A few hours?
Well, it was a few hours
6
too.
hours. We had that at one point. I was like pretty nervous. Like I was nervous the whole time because at the point when I found out
George's
about it, it was
always
too
nervous,
late.
though. It's like,
Because well, we're really in good with our landlord, and I didn't want to like make him mad.
Yeah.
And like after the video actually went viral, I received an email, and I'm like, uh-oh. And sure enough, it's just like, so I just saw your video. Please don't do that again. I have warehouse space you can borrow if you would like.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I was super nervous because like I knew the janitor was going to be coming through. It was after hours, so there's no one else in the building, and so we like covered up with a bunch of tarp, and then we'd like I was like, let's just lean some stuff on it so it doesn't look like a pool. So we just had this.
It was really obvious.
The hose
like-
was still like threading into this tarp and going up, and you could like I put it under the water, so it was really
this
quiet.
janitor has seen some stuff, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, our janitor is. he
just
comes in
becoming
every
used to
day.
it. He might come in one day and see everyone wearing drag and like
Like shooting videos in weird costumes, and then all of a sudden rollerboards just like zoom by him, and he's just like watching us.
So up on that second floor, do you have people walking from other businesses, walking back and forth? Like
At that
looking
point, we
at-
did it after hours.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
okay.
they
But I
had
mean,
set
that
up-
happens a
they,
lot
They
during the
got
day, though.
some. There were some shelving boxes. We have like one window next to our front door that
Yeah.
they could see in, so they like set the boxes up. So when I was walking up to our door and I saw the boxes there, I was like, something's going on.
Right.
Something's up. That they want hidden right now. Sure enough, I walk in. There's a big pool in the lobby.
A good example of Jordan being nervous was like any splash that was happening, Jordan was super nervous about. So that one where he catches the bath bomb and then gently drops it in, he was just trying to avoid a splash happening that would get on the carpet.
The carpet was pretty wet after that in general, so
You basically destroyed the entire room, right?
yeah, it survived.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to end with any advice that you guys would give to YouTubers out here. Before we do that, though, can I just get a show of hands of how many of you are actual YouTubers, meaning you're creating regular videos, you're uploading regularly, and how many of you want to continue to do that full time? Like, if you make it your career, what would it be?
I see a shaky hand
Yeah,
there.
that's
There's like a shaky ish.
Maybe.
Okay. So, what advice would you give to these individuals who are looking to get into the game and ultimately do what you guys are doing on, with soap in general? So,
Yeah, I'd say the key things are be organic, have fun with what you do, and then be consistent. Like
Awesome.
those are two of the biggest things I'd say.
And understand that it will take time. Like
Yes.
this
Yes,
is
yeah.
not where it was
You just heard
years
we
ago.
all started in 2008.
Yeah,
so-
it's not where it was before. It's huge now. This is like turning into this huge industry, and like it can get really really tough. But if you keep on it, like you never know what'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, I always complain and say like I'd hate to start doing this now
Oh, yeah.
because of how different. And back then, like the bar wasn't really set. Like you could go out buy like this $50 like camcorder or like recording software and like
Yeah.
maybe
HD is the standard now.
get some
Everything's-
janky video
I miss
editing
my
program.
Dazzle DVC 170.
Right.
the dazzle, I remember the dazzle.
But now these dudes, they have like, you have like green screens. These guys have editors that are doing like After Effects just for like a gaming video. It's like, it's so hard to compete. So if you're doing it, like you should really have fun doing it. That way it doesn't seem like a chore and you're like grinding out to try to like make videos happen. Because a lot of the times, like the way people blow up is just, it's really, just luck or just they were doing something right at that moment. Like as James said, he's doing Happy Wheels and then Happy Wheels blow up. Like you can never expect the unexpected, especially when it comes to YouTube. So just do it.
I think it's a lot easier to get set up now because there's a clear, like, I need a capture card, I need a microphone, I need this, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot tougher to grow, and that's something that we had to kind of struggle with, setting that stuff up. But, I mean, the biggest thing is, like, don't be afraid to fail, kind of like James saying. It's not going to be a quick thing, and just keep making stuff. That's kind of the biggest thing is, like, you don't know what's going to hit, you don't know what's going to be good, what's going to be bad. You just got to try it and see what you enjoy doing and what people enjoy watching you do if you are doing YouTube.
Yeah, I think you hit on a key point there, Dan. Don't be afraid to fail. How important would you guys say it is to take risks with content? You come up with an idea and you're thinking in your head, man, I don't know if people are going to like
Very.
this.
I've had a lot of ideas where I make it and I spend the entire day, like 20-something hours editing it. And I see the final result and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to upload this. And then I'll show it to my friends. They'll be like, yeah, dude, do it. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And usually those do fairly well in comparison just because I put effort into it. But taking that risk is like super important, especially in like, advancing where you are in the YouTube space.
I
Because if you're doing stuff that no one else is doing, like, sure, it's risky, but at the same time, it could also be very good for you and get your stuff out there, like, a lot quicker, I guess. Be more recognizable as a result.
That bath bomb video, I think, is a good example of Jordan being nervous. I was practically like just avoiding James, letting him do what he was doing because like I didn't think it was a good idea to do the pool in the office. When Joe was saying, "Yeah, we bought a pool," and I was like, "So are you setting it up like in James's backyard?" Or no, we're gonna do it in the office, I think. And I was just like, I think I talked to you a little bit about it, and like, you can't do that in here. And then it was like one of those things where it's like, James is going to do what he's going to do. I don't think it's a good idea, and it's the most viewed video on our channel. And I thought it was the stupidest thing when it was doing it. That's why I'm in it for 3 seconds.
And I was just like, oh, I like the whole time I was just like, oh, this is stupid.
So
this could go so wrong. But I knew that
exactly.
the content was going to
See how things work.
It was like the worst idea at the time, but it turned out to be the best idea. So I mean, you don't know what's going to
stop
do.
you, James. I was just like,
You were very reluctant to
I was
do
reluctant.
anything. You were like, I don't know.
Just go with the thing is, like, one of the last videos we had, you almost killed someone with an arrow. Like, you threw an arrow across the room and almost hit somebody. Like, I can't say all the ideas are perfect, but at this point, just let James do whatever, because he's going to do it anyway.
With soap or with arrows, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, soap arrows.
Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, that ultimately concludes our panel for the day. If you are a creator, if you're thinking about being a creator, we've uploaded a lot of resources to youtube.com/Creator Academy. There's specific strategies in there for gaming channels. So take a look, digest it, and see what works for your channel. And thank you guys again for being here. Have a wonderful RTX.
Woo.
Is there breakfast?
Yeah, the guy with the green, he's supposed to bring it.